The first time scientists stood before blood falls, they struggled to reconcile what they were seeing with everything they thought they knew about Antarctica. In a landscape defined by white silence, where ice stretches unbroken to the horizon, a deep crimson stain poured slowly from the face of Taylor Glacier. It looked like a wound carved into the ice itself, as if the glacier were bleeding into the frozen desert. The color was so intense, so visceral, that early explorers could not help but reach for dramatic explanations. Some believed it was algae, others suspected contamination, and a few even whispered about unknown life forms. Yet Blood Falls was not a trick of the eye. It was real, ancient, and far more extraordinary than anyone initially imagined. Taylor Glacier lies in the McMurdo Dry Valleys, one of the coldest and driest places on Earth. These valleys are often described as the closest terrestrial analog to Mars. Snow rarely falls. Liquid water is almost non-existent, and katabatic winds can scream down from the polar plateau at speeds exceeding 100 kilometers per hour. In this harsh environment, glaciers behave differently. They do not flow quickly like rivers of ice elsewhere on the continent. Instead, they creep slowly, preserving secrets locked away for millions of years. Blood Falls emerges from this frozen archive, seeping steadily from within the glacier like a message sent across deep time. When British geologist Thomas Griffith Taylor first documented Blood Falls in 1911 during Robert Falcon's Scottish Terra Nova expedition, science had no framework to explain it. Taylor observed the reddish outflow and suspected it was caused by red algae trapped in the ice. This hypothesis made sense at the time. Microorganisms were known to color snow pink or red in other polar regions. Yet something about Blood Falls was different. The color was darker, richer, almost metallic. And unlike surface algae, this flow originated deep within the glacier, continuing even in extreme cold where biological activity seemed impossible. For decades, Blood Falls remained a curiosity rather than a priority. Antarctica itself was still largely unexplored, and the logistical challenges of sustained research in the dry valleys were immense. It was not until the late 20th century that scientists returned with modern tools and renewed interest. As glaciologists and microbiologists began sampling the outflow, they realized they were dealing with a phenomenon that defied simple explanations. The liquid was not just water tinged with pigment. It was brine, far saltier than seawater, capable of remaining liquid at temperatures well below freezing. Chemical analysis revealed that the red coloration came from iron-rich water, oxidizing upon contact with the air. Deep beneath the glacier, the iron remained dissolved and invisible. But when the brine reached the surface and encountered oxygen, the iron oxidized rapidly, turning the outflow a vivid blood red. The glacier was not bleeding, it was rusting. Yet this explanation, while elegant, only opened the door to even more profound questions. Where did this brine come from, and how had it remained liquid for so long in such an unforgiving environment? Further investigations uncovered a hidden subglacial reservoir beneath Taylor Glacier. Trapped under hundreds of meters of ice, this ancient brine had been sealed off from the atmosphere for millions of years. The salinity was extreme, several times greater than that of the ocean, preventing it from freezing solid even at temperatures approaching -20 degrees Celsius. Pressure from the overlying ice slowly forced this brine upward through fissures in the glacier, allowing it to emerge at the surface as Blood Falls. What truly stunned scientists was not just the chemistry, but the biology. Within this dark, oxygen-free brine lived microbial communities that had survived in isolation for an estimated 5 million years. These microorganisms did not rely on sunlight. They did not use oxygen. Instead, they employed a metabolic pathway unlike anything commonly observed at Earth's surface. They respired sulfate and iron, essentially breathing minerals rather than air. In doing so, they provided a living example of how life can persist under conditions once thought uninhabitable. The discovery of these microbes forced a re-evaluation of the limits of life on Earth. Until then, most known ecosystems depended either directly or indirectly on photosynthesis. Blood Falls showed that life could endure in complete darkness, locked beneath ice, drawing energy from chemical reactions alone. This realization sent ripples far beyond Antarctica. Astrobiologists immediately recognized the implications. If life could survive in such conditions on Earth, perhaps similar ecosystems might exist elsewhere in the solar system. Mars, with its frozen surface and evidence of ancient brines, became an obvious candidate. So did Jupiter's moon, Europa, and Saturn's moon, Enceladus, both believed to harbor subsurface oceans beneath thick ice shells. Blood Falls offered a tangible, accessible analog for these distant worlds. By studying the chemistry and biology of this Antarctic anomaly, scientists could refine their expectations of what extraterrestrial life might look like, and where it might hide. Yet Blood Falls is not static. It is a dynamic system, responding subtly to changes in temperature, pressure, and glacier movement. Seasonal variations affect the rate of flow, sometimes slowing it to a trickle, other times allowing a more pronounced outpouring. Over long timescales, climate change introduces new uncertainties. As Antarctic temperatures rise and ice dynamics shift, the balance that sustains Blood Falls could be altered. Some researchers worry that warming may disrupt the subglacial system, either diluting the brine or accelerating its release. At the same time, Bloodfalls serves as a reminder of Antarctica's fragility. The McMurdo Dry Valleys are among the most pristine environments on Earth, yet they are not immune to human influence. Scientific camps, increased tourism to the continent, and global climate change all pose potential risks. Researchers working at Bloodfalls adhered to strict environmental protocols, minimizing contamination and disturbance. Ironically, the very microbes that have survived millions of years in isolation could be vulnerable to a single, careless introduction of foreign organisms. There is also a philosophical dimension to Bloodfalls that captivates both scientists and the public. The image of red liquid flowing from white ice resonates deeply, evoking themes of mystery, endurance, and the hidden complexity of nature. It challenges the assumption that extreme environments are barren and lifeless. Instead, it suggests that life is opportunistic, resilient, and capable of adapting in ways that stretch our imagination. Bloodfalls also complicates our understanding of glaciers themselves. Traditionally viewed as inert masses of frozen water, glaciers are increasingly recognized as active systems with internal hydrology and chemistry. Subglacial lakes, channels, and reservoirs can influence glacier movement and stability. The brine beneath Taylor Glacier may act as a lubricant, subtly affecting how the ice flows toward the sea. Understanding these processes is critical, especially as polar ice plays an ever more important role in global sea level rise. As research continues, new questions keep emerging. How exactly did the brine become so saline in the first place? Some evidence suggests it may be the remnant of an ancient seawater body, trapped as Antarctica cooled and glaciers advanced. Over time, repeated freezing events concentrated the salts, while iron leached from surrounding rocks enriched the solution. This scenario paints a picture of Antarctica not as a timeless frozen wasteland, but as a continent that has undergone dramatic environmental shifts. The age of the microbial community is another area of intense study. Genetic analysis hints at evolutionary pathways shaped by long-term isolation. These microbes are not frozen relics. They have continued to adapt, albeit slowly, to their stable yet extreme environment. Their existence blurs the line between life and dormancy, activity and suspension. They are alive, but on a timescale that challenges human perception. Bloodfalls also captures the imagination because it feels almost out of place, a vivid reminder that nature often defies our expectations. In a world increasingly mapped and measured, it stands as proof that profound mysteries still exist, even on our own planet. It invites humility, urging us to acknowledge how much we have yet to learn. For viewers watching a video about Bloodfalls, the experience can be transformative. What begins as a striking visual quickly unfolds into a story about deep time, resilience, and the interconnectedness of Earth's systems. It is a story that bridges geology, chemistry, biology, and astronomy. It connects the frozen deserts of Antarctica to the possibility of life beyond Earth. Ultimately, Bloodfalls is more than a scientific curiosity. It is a symbol of discovery, a reminder that even in the most extreme and isolated places, nature can surprise us with its ingenuity. As long as the crimson brine continues to seep from Taylor Glacier, it will continue to provoke questions, inspire research, and challenge our understanding of life itself. And perhaps that is its greatest significance, not the color of the ice, but the way it forces us to look deeper, beneath the surface, into the hidden worlds that exist all around us.